What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. This is The Mental Breakdown. I'm your host, Joey Velez, recording live from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here for the 2024 Association of Applied Sports Psychology annual conference located at Planet Hollywood. So it's going to be a fun few days of not just learning a lot of information, networking with people who I've never met before, I've never seen before, but I think also being able to connect with people who I've known in the past, either went to grad school with, taught by somebody, ran into them at previous workshops, so I think it's going to be a fun few days of learning, and I'm really looking forward to it. But wanted to hop on because I was reading my current book right now, which is Building Psychological Fitness by Dr. Karen Dahl, which really talks about different ways for high performers to achieve that level of greatness and what they can do to kind of make sure they have that elite mentality. And I think one of the things that popped up recently was this idea of the difference between concern versus worry. So when we're thinking about concern, it's more we have a matter of interest in the topic. It can be more of a constructive response to a potential threat, whereas worry is more of a state of anxiety and uncertainty over a potential problem, but also a struggle that really fosters a more of a victim mindset, because oftentimes those events are out of our control. And I think that it brings up an interesting idea of like, where does each of these come from? Are these needed? So I think with that first question of where do these come from is like, we as individuals, we each have our own mental models of how we interpret the world around us. There's a lot of research on how early we develop our thinking patterns. Right? I think it was at the age of 5. Don't quote me on that, but based on our surroundings, based on who we're around, we develop a specific way of looking at the world. But I think the other side of that too is like, is there a need to be concerned? Is there a need to be worried about things? And that's where I think you want to be able to specify the difference between the two. I think there's absolutely a need for concern. I think one of the examples she gives in the book is like, if your child is sick, there is a concern for their health. And I think that is something you absolutely need to do. Now, however, if you're worried that your child is sick and you're worried that maybe they're going to die from this sickness, I think that's where we need to draw the line on, is this more of a concern or is this something I need to be worried about? Because I think with a concern, maybe we're more likely to develop solutions that are going to help alleviate that concern. Whereas with a worry, maybe I'm more likely to experience higher levels of anxiety, higher levels of stress that are ultimately going to impact my ability to come up with these effective solutions. So one way to, not just, I think it's more than just reframing our worries as concerns. I think that is a strategy, but I think another thing we can do is, in terms of how do we handle these worries, is through self-reflection. And I think you can start by writing down the worries that you are experiencing. There was research done at a college, I want to say it was early 90s, and what the researcher did was he had half of his class for 15 minutes before their test write down any potential worries that they had going into that examination. And then the other half, they just told them to just kind of chill and hang out. After the test, after accounting for, all the demographics, intelligence, grade in class, what have you, what he found was that those who wrote about their worries for 15 minutes prior to the examination actually performed 15% better than the group who didn't. Now, 15% doesn't seem like a lot. However, I think in terms of school, maybe that takes you from a C- to a flat B. If we're talking about in terms of pay, I think everybody would take a 15% raise, right? So I think, like, while it doesn't seem like a big number, that has a drastic impact on your education, right? On your ability to perform, right? Not only does it help you increase your performance, but writing down your worries can be a more healthy way to process the experience we face in our lives. It may allow you to look at it from a different lens. It may allow you to sort through those complex thoughts and feelings in a more effective way. You can also reframe your worries and use more healthier, more productive language. So what do I mean by that? Well, instead of saying the word should, I should do this, this is what should happen, which I think can add a lot of pressure, can add a lot of anxiety to the situation. Reframing and use the word, I could, I can, I would like to, I will, because I think being able to change that language doesn't necessarily take away the experience, but maybe it changes the interpretation. Maybe it changes the mindset heading into that situation, right? Maybe it provides a little more motivation as opposed to providing a little bit more stress to the situation. Maybe it allows you to handle the pressure of that moment a little bit more effectively. So not only can you change the language you use, but I think you can also ask yourself questions in that particular moment that can kind of help you reframe your thinking. So asking yourself the question, is this thought helpful? If the answer is yes, by all means, keep going. But if the answer is no, okay, well, now we can begin that change in that process of, okay, well, what would be more effective right now to keep me going? Maybe asking yourself, is this thought preparing me in a healthy, productive way? Same thing if the answer is yes, by all means keep going. If the answer is no, okay, well then what can I do instead to be more productive, to take that one step forward? Maybe even asking yourself what's real, what's not real in the situation. What factual data do I have related to this worry? Because maybe with that question, maybe you begin to realize that you don't have any factual data about what you're actually worried about. Maybe it turns more into a concern, but again, maybe it allows you to kind of process that situation differently and be able to take the step forwards that are necessary. And I think all in all, being able to self-reflect, being able to write down your worries, being able to reframe what those worries are, allows you to potentially identify a more constructive action that you can take in that moment to alleviate those worries, to manage that situation in a more effective manner. And so that's all I want to talk to you guys about today. Again, so maybe human homework is thinking to yourself about, what do I experience? Do I feel like I interpret situations more as a concern, more as a worry? When I do worry about something, why am I worried? Where is this coming from? But then also thinking about how you can change your language, how you can learn from those scenarios to help put you in a better place moving forward, not just with that scenario, but also in the long term. And that's all I got for you guys. So thank you for listening. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to like, rate, review to the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I believe it's also under the mental breakdown. There is a dash in between the words break and down, just in case you have trouble finding it. But thank you all for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. And don't forget, today is always a great day to make an impact. All right, y'all. Have a good one.